Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Football. Champions League is back, which means Champions League Fantasy is back, which means we are back. And let's get to it. We're going to be discussing the changes that have occurred in the Champions League this season, obviously from group phase to league phase. We're going to talk about the chip strategy. Obviously, it's changes now and the things that are remaining the same and all that. Basically, everything you need to know about this season's Champions League fantasy is going to be interesting. As a football fan, I mean, I'm used to the older Champions League, get through the group stage, get into the knockout stage, the usual way that we love. But as a UCL fantasy manager, it's more exciting, I guess. More teams, more fixtures. 6 match days no longer there. Now it's 8 match days, so it becomes more interesting. And we're going to be talking about that. But let me know: are you excited about the new Champions League, or do you prefer the older format? So let's get to the changes. So before the changes, there's other things that are remaining the same. Obviously, the usual 15 players in a team, 2 free transfers every single match day during the now league phase, not the group stage. Also 100 million is the budget. Nothing has changed there. With the time we go to the round of 16, it's going to be 105 million. You get an extra 5 million. So all that remains the same. Absolutely no changes. Obviously, subs, you're still allowed to make subs and captain changes and things like that. All that remains the same. So no difference in terms of that. The squad, in terms of if your player plays on Tuesday, if he doesn't get you enough points, you can serve them out for the Wednesday players. And at this time in match day 1, you also have Thursday fixtures. So it's going to be interesting. So all that has not changed. But a few things have changed. So instead of 6 match days where teams face 3 opponents twice during the group stage, this time you have 8 match days, and we have obviously 8 different opponents for every single team. So that is already a major change. Usually, you'd hope, like as a UCL fantasy manager, not as a fan, you would hope like the bigger teams have some smaller teams to face in the group stage, and then you'd pile up on Bayern Munich, you'd pile up on Man City, teams like that. Usually over the last 10 years, that is what we do. But this time the Champions League has changed. I'll also show you guys a ticker that might help you make a decision in terms of the of your squad. So I'll show you some graphics that I got from Twitter. I'll be giving a shout out to guys who made it as well. So all that makes it interesting. 8 matches instead of 6. The Champions League will now extend all the way to January in terms of the league phase. That is very, very interesting. Match day 1 now has 3 days instead of 2. So there will be games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in match day 1. So that allows you to have 3 different captains. If your captains don't perform on Tuesday and Wednesday, unfortunately, you can't have 3 goalkeepers. So it's the same 2 goalkeepers. Pick Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 from 2 different days. And it makes it more interesting. So no problem if you have a couple of players on the bench who are playing on Wednesday and Thursday. It helps you more interesting, I guess. More days of Champions League football to watch, more days of to make changes in terms of captaincy. So if your captain doesn't perform on Tuesday and Wednesday, you still have the ones on Thursday as well. So that is an extra change for match day 1. Now, unlimited subs. The unlimited subs, usually you get 1 wildcard throughout the season. So whenever you use it, whether it's match day 2 or match day 4 or during the knockout, usually the best time to use it is during the group stage instead of during the knockout stage. And then you also usually get an automatic wildcard. Everyone gets a wildcard right before the round of 16 because teams have been eliminated. So everyone gets a wildcard right before the round of 16, and then the 1 wildcard that everyone else gets as well. You can use it whenever time you want. Now this time there's the usual wildcard which you can use whatever time you want. Obviously, apart from match day 1 and apart from before the round of 16 and apart from right before the playoffs as well. But you get 1 wildcard. Everyone gets 1 wildcard. Now you'll get an extra wildcard right before the round of 16. As usual, you have to use it right before the round of 16. You cannot carry it forward. And you'll also get an extra unlimited transfers right before the playoffs. So if the teams in the top 8 make it, and the teams between 9th and 24th, the playoffs they're going to play, I was wondering what they're going to do with that, because I was wondering, are we going to have to save the wildcard and use it in during the playoffs? Because most of the teams that we're going to have players from are not going to be playing the playoffs. Are we going to have to pile up on the teams that are 9th to 24th? But no, everyone is going to get unlimited transfers for the playoff games, and then I think 3 transfers in the second leg of the playoff games. And then after that, right after the round of 16 draw, you get another unlimited subs to prepare for the round of 16. So that makes sense. So that is another change this time. You're going to have unlimited transfers twice instead of the usual once right before the round of 16. So it's pretty much 3 wildcards this season. One, you can use it whatever time you want, and 2 others, you have to use it right before the round of 16 and right before the playoff stage. So another change, obviously, more teams, as already spoken about. So there's more teams this time around, more teams to pick from, and that makes it interesting. A couple of first timers, I guess, in the Champions League in terms of UCL fantasy. You've never been able to pick players from teams like Aston Villa and Girona. We're now going to be able to be doing that. So if you're a fan of those teams, it's going to be more interesting. But mainly the cheap strategy. Now, the cheap strategy has to change. For sure. The limitless and the wildcard are very, very important. We've already touched upon the wildcard a bit, but we'll be discussing more detail in terms of that. Now, usually, let's start with the limitless. Usually, the limitless, whenever there's 6 match days in the group stage and then the extra round of 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, final, many people prefer to use the limitless chip in match day 2. Right after match day 1, match day 2, maybe find a Liverpool is playing against a PSV at home, maybe a Barcelona is playing against a Club Brugge, maybe Man City have a good away fixture. People prefer to play the limitless in match day 2. The best, I think the most points I got from a limitless might have been in match day 2 a couple of seasons ago. That's usually the best time to use it during the older group stage. Some people prefer to use it in match day 6 when you get to see obviously the lineups of not the lineups, but in match day 6 before. This is before the group stage. This is when the group stage was present. People use it in match day 6 after confirming which players are going to be rested, which teams already gone through, which teams to pile up on. If a team has not gone through, they still have to win. Then you go double up on that team. That is how it used to be. But this time round, it is going to be different in terms of playing the limitless chip. There's a couple of situations where you're going to pick it. I don't think there's the best time to pick it. Maybe once I'll have one match day where there's I'll give it to you guys. I think there's one particular match day that is the best to pick, the limitless. But other than that, the others depends on which kind of manager you are. Are you a proactive manager? Are you a reactive manager? There's people who prefer to save the limitless and the wildcard either for injuries or suspensions, which can work. Sometimes you find yourself in match day 4 and 3 of your players are suspended and 1 of your players injured and 2 of your players are expected to be rested, and you only have 2 transfers, and then in a bit of a pickle, then you have to play limitless or your wildcard at that time. So those are the reactive managers. They're waiting for trouble, or they want to save, or cautious manager. Let's call them cautious managers who want to save the limitless or the wildcard for tougher period or for later on the stage. Personally, I think it's better to play it earlier than the knockout stage. I think it's best to play it when there's the weaker teams in the group stage or the league phase. Now it's better to do that. So this season, let's talk about match day 8 first. So a lot of people will talk about use the limitless or the wildcard in match day 8. Now there's a very big positive about match day 8 and a very big negative about match day 8, playing your chips in match day 8. So this is wildcard and limitless included together. Now, the big positive about playing those chips in match day 8 is that all of those teams are playing at the same time in match day 8. So that is another change this season. Usually in match day 6, teams play on Tuesday, teams play on Wednesday as usual. But this time round, it's going to be like the end of the league seasons where every single team plays at the same time on the last day. So you will get to see team news from every single team before the deadline. So you can have enough players that are starting the games for all the teams. So you'll get to see Man City's team, you'll get to see Arsenal's defender starting that day, you'll get to see Barcelona's team that day, you get to see Inter Milan's defenders, you'll get to see Real Madrid's forward line, who's going to start here, who is Guardiola resting, which team is that player that everyone is going for, the cheaper player, whatever, from young boys, is he starting? Sorry. You get to see all that because you're going to see every single team news in match day 8 before you make your team. If you're playing a limitless or wildcard, that is very, very advantageous because you're sure none of your team, none of your players is going to be rested, or there's no risk of that because you've already seen the team news. That is the positive. But the major negative about playing your chips in match day 8 is that as well. The fact that they're playing on the same day, the same time, all of them, you can only have 11 players pretty much. So even if you have 15 players, 4 of them on the bench, you're not going to be able to sub them in because they're all playing at the same time. By the time you get to see the points your starting players have gotten, the bench players have already played as well. So that is a major problem. Like you basically don't get to use your subs that time. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you get to sub out players. If your player had scored 1 point, you take them out, you bring in someone else. In match day 8, if you play a limitless there, you're limiting yourself pretty much. It's a limitless chip, but you'll be limiting yourself. You're only going to be using 11 players because the others, are not going to be able to sub them in. Also, on top of that, you're not going to be able to change your captain and all that. So you're only going to have one captain, one goalkeeper, no subs in match day 8. That is if you play your chips on that day. So as you see, there's a big positive, but there's a big negative as well. So that is the limitless and the wildcard together. The chip strategy in match day. As I'm about to cough for some reason. Apologies about that. This is recorded live as always. We don't edit it out now. We leave it there. It's pretty natural. So when is the best time to play the limitless? I'd say match day 2 or match day 3. So let's bring this up. Let us bring this up. So as you can see, let me put this on the screen. This is from FPL Batowski on X, so shout out to him, or Twitter, if still prefer calling it Twitter. So as you can see, you can target fixtures, depends on which teams you trust the most. So for example, let's start with match day 2. In match day 2, you can see Atletico Madrid are playing against Benfica, Dortmund are playing against Celtic, Barcelona are playing against Young Boys. That's a good fixture. Bayern Munich are playing away at Aston Villa. I guess you can say, they don't have Champions League experience. Maybe you can tip Bayern Munich there. Which other team? Girona is playing against Feyenoord. Feyenoord is playing against Girona. Inter Milan is playing against Red Star Belgrade. That's a very, very good fixture. Liverpool is playing against Bologna. Man City are playing against, which team is this? SBT. Which team is this? SBT. Wait. Is it that other? There's I think they're playing against, is this Slovan? I think it's Slovan Bratislava, something like that. I think that's the name of the team. So as you can see, match day 2, a lot of the teams, Real Madrid are playing against Lille, so Sporting, PSV, you can target players like Gyökeres. You see, match day 2, a lot of good fixtures for most of those teams. So you can say I'm going to play my limitless in match day 2. I'm going to target those teams: Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. I'm going to maybe target Dortmund against Celtic. Absolutely fine. So if that is your plan, match day 2, limitless, I think that is the best time to play it. But it depends on which teams you trust. Maybe you prefer to target Arsenal, Man City, and Madrid together. So you can look at Arsenal in match day 3, have Shakhtar, Aston Villa have Bologna, Atletico Madrid have Lille. Let's see here. Inter Milan have Young Boys in match day 3. Man City have SPG in match day 3. Milan have BRU in match day 3. That is Bruges and all that. So easier fixtures. So we're looking which team. I'm confusing these teams. I should have checked this before doing this video. But I think I'm just recovering from a cold, by the way. Apologies. I think SBT, I think it's a Slovan Bratislava. Yeah, I think that is the team. But yeah, listen, I'm not going to. Actually, I can just check it right now. Instead of guessing. So yeah, SBT is Slovan Bratislava. So I was right with that. And then the other one, which is SSSP, the next one for Man City there, that is Sparta Prague. So Sparta Prague, yes, Sparta Prague, they call it. So SPG, Sparta Prague. So those are the teams that Man City are going to face in match day 2 and 3. So match day 2, match day 3, I usually prefer playing the limitless when Man City and Bayern Munich have good fixtures. So that can work out. But in case you need that ticker, follow me on Twitter, by the way, Glenn Kitely. I'll be posting about Champions League fantasies always throughout the season. But yeah, that ticker is very, very helpful in terms of knowing which match day you're going to play your chips and how to balance your goalkeepers. That's another thing. How are you going to balance your goalkeepers? Usually, you have one goalkeeper playing the Tuesday and another one playing on Wednesday, you can keep them the same all the way to match day 6 in terms of the group stage. Because if one plays on Tuesday, the other one is going to play on the Wednesday. If one plays on the Wednesday, the other one plays on the Tuesday. It's always going to be the same. But this season is different. Some goalkeepers are going to play Tuesday, then Wednesday. Then the next week, you can find both of them are playing on the Tuesday. So it's going to change a lot. So I don't think there's a best goalkeeper combination to get. I don't think it's possible. So to get like throughout the league phase is impossible. You're going to have to change your goalkeepers here and there. So Champions League this one is going to be very interesting. The Champions League fantasy is going to be very interesting as well. I cannot wait. But let me know how your team is looking right now. I'll have a first draft video coming up, and then as usual, there's going to be deadline streams and all that as always, and this season is going to be even more interesting. So that's the first video. We are back. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.